In a quiet suburban neighborhood ruled by a tyrannical HOA president, one entitled woman spots a suspiciously parked sheriff's truck blocking her perfect view. Fueled by her unyielding sense of authority, she grabs her tools and decides to unlock it herself, only to discover too late that the entire setup was a clever trap designed to catch her in the act. What follows is a cascade of hilarious mishaps, escalating confrontations, and ultimate karma that leaves her empire crumbling. Stick around for this wild tale of entitlement gone wrong. If you're hooked on these epic HOA showdowns and Karen meltdowns, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next property drama bombshell. Let's dive right in. In the manicured lawns and pristine driveways of Willow Creek Estates, a gated community where every blade of grass seemed to bow to the iron-fisted rules of the Homeowners Association, life revolved around appearances and petty power plays. The neighborhood was a picture-perfect slice of suburbia, with colonial-style homes lined up like soldiers, each one boasting uniform white picket fences and flower beds bursting with approved perennials. But beneath the glossy facade simmered a cauldron of resentment, fueled by the HOA's endless decrees on everything from mailbox colors to the acceptable height of holiday decorations. At the helm of this micromanaged utopia was Marlene Whitaker, a woman in her mid-50s whose sharp features and perpetually pursed lips made her the undisputed queen of complaints. Marlene wasn't just the HOA president, she was its enforcer, its judge, and its executioner, wielding her gavel-like authority with the zeal of someone who believed the world owed her perfection. Marlene's days were a ritual of surveillance. From her bay window overlooking the cul-de-sac, she scanned the streets like a hawk, her notebook always at the ready to jot down infractions. A bicycle left on a lawn? Fine incoming. A car parked a fraction too close to a hydrant? Tow truck on speed dial. Her neighbors whispered about her behind closed doors, dubbing her the warden of Willow Creek. But none dared challenge her openly. After all, Marlene had a knack for turning minor grievances into major ordeals, often escalating them to the county sheriff's office if it suited her agenda. She relished the power, the way her phone calls could summon authority figures to bend to her will. But on this fateful summer morning, as the sun cast long shadows across the asphalt, Marlene's eagle eyes locked onto something that ignited her fury like never before. There, right in front of her immaculate home, sat a sheriff's department truck, its black and white paint gleaming under the light, parked haphazardly across two spots in the visitor area. It wasn't just any vehicle. It was an eyesore, a blatant violation of Rule 47 in the HOA bylaws. No emergency or service vehicles allowed to linger without prior approval. Marlene's blood pressure spiked as she imagined the gossip it would spark. Neighbors questioning her control, perhaps even plotting to undermine her presidency. She stormed to her computer, firing off an email to the board members demanding immediate action. But as hours ticked by with no response from the sheriff's office despite her barrage of calls, Marlene's impatience grew into a seething rage. Who did they think they were, ignoring her? This was her domain, and no one, not even law enforcement, could defy her rules. By afternoon, the truck remained unmoved, its presence mocking her. Marlene paced her living room, her mind racing through scenarios. She recalled past victories, the time she had a neighbor's RV towed for exceeding the size limit, or when she fined a family $500 for an unapproved swing set. This would be no different. Grabbing her phone, she documented the offense with photos from every angle, zooming in on the license plate and the department insignia. Still, the sheriff's dispatcher dismissed her complaints, claiming the vehicle was on official business. Official business? In her neighborhood? Marlene scoffed. She knew better. This was likely some lazy deputy using her streets as a parking lot. As the day wore on, her frustration morphed into determination. If the authorities wouldn't handle it, she would take matters into her own hands, literally. That evening, under the cover of twilight, Marlene slipped out to inspect the truck closer. It was a standard-issue Ford F-150, equipped with light bars and reinforced bumpers, but curiously no one was inside. She circled it, noting the locked doors and the faint hum of an idling engine. Wait, no, it was off, but something about it felt off-kilter. Peering through the tinted windows, she saw nothing amiss. Standard gear, a laptop mount, scattered paperwork. Yet the audacity of its placement gnawed at her. Back in her house, she researched online forums for HOA warriors, gleaning tips on dealing with stubborn parkers. One suggestion stood out. If all else failed, consider self-help remedies like Slim Jims for unlocking, though warned against for legal reasons. Marlene dismissed the cautions. She was above such trivialities. After all, she had once picked her own lock when locked out, a skill honed from YouTube tutorials during a rainy weekend. As night fell, Marlene's resolve hardened. She gathered her tools, a coat hanger straightened into a makeshift Slim Jim, a flashlight, and her ever-present notebook. Sneaking out in her bathrobe to blend in as a casual stroller, she approached the truck again. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and righteousness. This wasn't breaking the law. It was enforcing it. She wedged the hanger into the door seal, fumbling in the dark, her hands slick with sweat. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as she jiggled and twisted, cursing under her breath at the stubborn mechanism. Just as she felt a click, headlights from a passing car startled her, sending her ducking behind the vehicle. False alarm, it was just old Mr. Jenkins heading home. Resuming her efforts, Marlene finally heard the satisfying pop of the lock giving way. Triumph surged through her as she swung the door open, ready to hotwire it or at least move it herself if needed. But as she climbed in, a sudden realization hit. The keys were in the ignition. How convenient, she thought, smirking at the deputy's carelessness. Starting the engine with a roar that shattered the neighborhood's silence, Marlene shifted into drive, inching the truck forward. Her plan was simple. Relocate it to the main road outside the gates where it could be someone else's problem. But as she navigated the cul-de-sac, neighbors' lights flicked on, curious faces pressing against windows. She ignored them, focusing on her victory. Yet something nagged at her. The truck felt heavier than expected, its handling sluggish. Dismissing it as paranoia, she pressed on. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a meticulously laid trap, one that would unravel her carefully constructed world in ways she couldn't yet fathom. As she reached the gate, a distant siren wailed, growing closer, but Marlene chalked it up to coincidence. For now, she reveled in her audacity, unaware that the real drama was about to unfold. The next morning dawned with an unusual buzz in Willow Creek Estates, as whispers spread like wildfire about the sheriff's truck mysteriously relocating overnight. Marlene awoke to a barrage of texts from board members, praising her for handling the eyesore so efficiently, though none knew the full extent of her involvement. She smiled smugly over her coffee, replaying the thrill of the previous night. The truck now sat just beyond the community gates, a silent testament to her unyielding control. But as she prepared for her daily patrol, a knock at the door shattered her complacency. Peering through the peephole, she saw two uniformed deputies standing sternly on her porch, their expressions unreadable. Her pulse quickened. Had someone seen her? No, impossible. She had been careful. Opening the door with her trademark forced politeness, Marlene greeted them, inquiring about the purpose of their visit. The deputies explained they were investigating a report of vehicle tampering in the area, specifically involving their department truck. Marlene feigned ignorance, her mind racing to craft alibis. She invited them in, offering coffee as a diversion while subtly steering the conversation toward the HOA's parking rules. But the deputies were persistent, pulling out photos from a hidden camera inside the truck, grainy footage showing a figure in a bathrobe breaking in and driving off. Marlene's face paled as recognition dawned. The truck had been equipped with surveillance. They revealed it was no ordinary vehicle but a bait car, strategically placed to catch repeat offenders of false reports and vigilantism in problem neighborhoods like hers. As the implications sank in, Marlene's empire began to crack. The deputies detailed how her numerous unfounded complaints to the sheriff's office, over 24 in the past year alone, had flagged Willow Creek as a hotspot for abuse of emergency services. The bait truck was deployed to gather evidence, and Marlene had walked right into it. She protested vehemently, citing her rights as HOA president, but the evidence was irrefutable. Handcuffs clicked around her wrists as they arrested her for attempted vehicle theft and tampering with government property. Neighbors gathered outside, phones recording the spectacle, their long-suppressed schadenfreude bubbling to the surface. Marlene's pleas fell on deaf ears as she was led to a real patrol car, her authority stripped away in an instant. Word spread rapidly through the community, with emergency board meetings called to address the vacuum of power. Former victims of Marlene's tyranny stepped forward, sharing stories of excessive fines and harassment that had driven families away. The bait truck revelation exposed not just her actions, but the toxic underbelly of the HOA's operations. Investigations uncovered embezzlement from community funds. Marlene had been siphoning money for personal enforcement tools, like her high-end binoculars and legal consultation fees. The sheriff's office, in collaboration with county prosecutors, built a case that extended beyond the truck incident, painting her as a serial abuser of power. In the ensuing weeks, Willow Creek transformed. New elections ousted the old guard, ushering in reasonable leaders who relaxed draconian rules. Fences could now be painted in soft pastels, and holiday lights stayed up a week longer without penalty. Marlene, out on bail, holed up in her home, blinds drawn against the judgmental stares. Her once loyal allies distanced themselves, leaving her isolated. She spent hours poring over legal documents, plotting appeals, but deep down doubt crept in. The bait truck had not only ensnared her physically but shattered her illusion of invincibility. As the trial date loomed, Marlene reflected on how her obsession with control had led to this downfall, a cautionary tale echoing through the suburbs. Yet the story was far from over, with more revelations poised to surface that would seal her fate once and for all. As the gavel fell in the county courthouse months later, Marlene Whitaker's reign officially ended. The judge, unmoved by her tearful pleas of community service, sentenced her to probation, community service, and a hefty fine that drained her savings. But the real punishment came from the community she once dominated. Willow Creek Estates flourished without her, with block parties replacing board meetings and laughter echoing where complaints once reigned. Marlene, stripped of her title, became a pariah, her home the only fortress left, though even that faced foreclosure threats from unpaid dues she herself had enforced on others. The bait truck operation, hailed as a success by the sheriff's department, inspired similar stings in other HOA-plagued areas, deterring would-be tyrants. Marlene's story went viral on social media, dissected in forums where former residents shared memes and anecdotes, turning her into a symbol of entitled downfall. She attempted a comeback, starting a blog on fair HOA practices, but it garnered more ridicule than support. In quiet moments, she wondered where it all went wrong. Perhaps that first Slim Jim twist or years of unchecked power. Willow Creek moved on, a testament to resilience. While Marlene faded into obscurity, her legacy a warning whispered among neighbors. Beware the Karen who overreaches, for karma drives a bait truck straight to your door. Thanks for sticking around for this insane HOA saga. If you enjoyed the drama and that sweet taste of justice, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below sharing your own wild neighbor stories. Hit that bell icon for more epic takedowns, and we'll see you in the next one.